Hello, I'm Nancy Gray with Nancy's Fancies, and I'm an educator for Classic Creations. Today I want to show you how to use one of our new template sets. We're going to be doing the card trick. Our templates are made of a hard plastic. On the back of it, they have a non-slip fabric on them. So when you put it down on the fabric, your fabric is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to wrinkle or pucker. I've got this fabric folded in two right there, so that means I'd be cutting through 4 layers. I'm going to take and fold it over one more time, and I want to show you. I've got 6 layers of fabric right there. My fabric's not puckered or wrinkled. I am using a Martelli rotary cutter. I open my cutter. I place my rotary cutter right next to my template. Oops. I rotate my template so that I'm not stressing out my arm or shoulder or neck. I keep turning my template with my fabric until I get it all cut. There's my last one. Oops. Don't forget, girls, to shut your rotary cutters because they're very sharp and they will take the tip of a finger off. I have 6 layers of fabric cut. No puckering, no wrinkle. I have exact cuts. And how important is that to us when we're quilting? Have you ever cut out almost a whole quilt and go start sewing it together? And you may have only been off 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch. But when you cut it and start sewing it together and your points or your patterns don't match, it's really frustrating. So with our templates, you won't have that problem. There's no need to use rulers. They're cut to precise size. All of our templates come with written instructions on exactly how to color it. With this card trick, you use 3 different colors: light, medium, dark, whatever colors you would like. I have another card trick right here behind me, and it's done in even different colors, and you can see how nice that pattern looks there. I put 2 together, which could be a table topper. Christmas is coming up. That'd be a cute gift. So our instructions give you a color picture of what the quilt square will look like. Your cutting instructions for your fabric. Then we give you a diagram of how each square goes together. We give you all the instructions of how to put the different squares together. And then down here on the bottom, I've given you another colored diagram, row 1, row 2, and row 3, so that you know exactly how to put them together and you don't have to unsew, which all of us have done from time to time, but it's okay. Now, I do sew with a 1/4 inch seam on all of this, and I reduce my stitch length to 1.9. I know that's a little stitch length, but if you don't do that, when you start to put squares together, if you're stitching with a 2 or a 2.2, then those corners tend to pull apart because you don't have the smaller stitch. So I always stitch with a 1.9. So there's all your diagrams on how to put it together, so you don't have to guess. And we send those written instructions with all of our templates. So this is the one that I'm going to show you step by step how to put this together. It's a really fun square to put together. but it is one of those. If you just turn a triangle the wrong way, then you're not going to see that card trick. But it's fun to do. Let's get started. Here's our cutting for this square. We have 1, 2, 3 colors. We went by our instructions and cut our squares. I keep them labeled 1 through 6, so when I get down to cutting triangles or cutting half square triangles, I know exactly which fabric to pick up for each one. This is our first row in card trick. I have 2 half square triangles. I put them face to face. I do a 1/4 inch seam along there, 1.9 stitch length. I press it and then I press it open. And then I have my first square for this quilt block. The second square on line 1 is 2 half square triangles that are smaller. So I lay them together, line them up good, do my 1/4 inch seam, press it open. I take the larger triangle and lay on top of these 2 that are now 1. Line them up, 1/4 inch seam, press it open, and then I have square number 2 on line 1. For the third square in line 1, I have 2 half square triangles. Lay them on top of each other. Do my 1/4 inch seam, press it and turn it, and there's my third block for the first row. This is our middle row. We have 3 rows in this quilt square. My first one, I have 2 of the smaller half square triangles. I lay them on top of each other. I sew a 1/4 inch seam, press it, open it, and press it again. The reason that we press our quilt squares before we open them up, it sets that stitch in there and it makes it really nice, setting that stitch. Then we take our larger triangle and put on the 2 smaller ones, stitch it, 1/4 inch seam, press it and open it. And we have the first square for line 2. Our second square on line 2 is 4 half square triangles. You take the lighter fabric and put on top of the darker. On this inside here, you're going to do a 1/4 inch seam, press it, open it, and press it again. You're going to take the other 2, light fabric on top of the dark, a 1/4 inch seam, press it, and open it, and press it again, and you have your center block on line 2. For our last block on line 2, we have 2 smaller half square triangles, 1/4 inch seam, press it. That left hand doesn't want to work as well. Press it open. Take the larger triangle, lay on top of the 2, do your 1/4 inch seam, press it and open it. And then you have the last square on row 2. Now for our bottom row. First square on row 3, 2 half square triangles. Face to face, a 1/4 inch seam, press it, open it back up, press it again, and you have your first block on your 3rd row. On the middle block of your 3rd row, you have 2 smaller half square triangles. Going to pick those up. We're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam right there. You're going to press it, open it up, and press it again. Then you're going to take the half square triangle and lay it right on top, a 1/4 inch seam, press it, and open it. And there's your middle square on line 3. For the last block on line 3, 2 half square triangles. We're going to lay them on top of each other. Do your 1/4 inch seam, 1.9, press it, open it back up, and you have your last square for line 3. Now let's look and see what that's all going to look like. Oh, we're starting to see our pattern. Here is line 1, here's line 2, and here's line 3. When I go to sew these rows together, I sew first block to block 2, and then I sew block 2 to block 3. And on pressing these, I press the center seams open because you have several different layers of fabric and you don't want to have any bulk. So by pressing those open, I don't have that. Then I have my center block. I sew block 1 to block 2, 1/4 inch seam, press it, press that seam open. I sew block 2 to block 3, 1/4 inch seam, press it, press that seam open, and there is row 2. For our last row, we again take block 1, lay it on top of block 2, line it up, 1/4 inch seam, press that seam open, and then we take block 1 and 2 and attach block 3 to it, 1/4 inch seam, and then press that seam open. We're almost done. So then you take row 1, lay it on top of the middle row or row 2, line up, and if you need to put a pin in there to keep it together, line up your open seams there. Put your little pin there if you need to, or a clip. Make sure this one is lined up and do a 1/4 inch seam. Press it, fold it over, and press it. Then you take your last row, which is row 3, and you lay it on top of the middle row, which is row 2. Match your seams up, do your 1/4 inch seam, press that, and open that up, and you have a finished square all put together. Ooh, let's do another one. I like this. I also wanted to show you one of the new rulers that Classic Creation has created for us, and I just love it. I use it for a couple of different things, and I'm sure I'm going to find a bunch more ways to use this ruler. It's an L-shaped. It's a 7-inch ruler. I use this if I'm wanting to look at one of my quilt squares. Maybe it's a quilt square I see somewhere and I want to try to recreate it. I can lay it in there and it gives me a window and I can see exactly how that square is made. I make a lot of purses. This is perfect for when you're ready to do that boxed bottom on your purse, is to lay that on there, and depending on how big you want that box to be, you've got 1 through 7 inches on both sides, and you have a perfect box square for that purse. Thank you, Classic Creations, for creating this for us. We've got many more quilt templates coming up. We give lessons on all of our quilt patterns, our purses. I'm going to be doing a class on taking a sweatshirt and quilting it and making a jacket out of it. So we have many more things fun to come with Classic Creations. Thank you for coming and spending your time with me. Have a blessed day.